Hello everyone and welcome to another video of Vivek Learns. In the last video of PepCoding Recursion that we had made, we had revised some of the questions that we had did. So we had started from this print decreasing function and then we had revived it till this tower of Hanai question. So in this video we will continue to revise some of the questions that we had already solved. We have solved all these questions, but we want to have a revision of all these questions. So in this video will continue to revise those questions as well. Yeah. So the question that we will revise today starts with this one, display arrays. So we are given an array of numbers and what we want to achieve is we want to print those numbers, right? So let's set the faith expectations and all those things. So the expectation is that if we are given print array function and if we are given that array, and let's say if we are given an index 5, then it will print all the elements of the array, let's say 20, 21, 22 and 23. Okay, I'll have 23 here and then let's say 21 here. Okay, so this is the expected output. So we have 5 elements, right? I have printed only 4, so let's say I have 19 again here. So this is the expectation from this function. So let's set some faith and let's set the faith that if we have print array and we give arr comma 4, then what will happen? We'll print the last 3 elements, or we can consider that we'll print the first 4 elements, right? 20 and 21. And how do we go from expectation to faith? So we'll go from expectation to faith if we print the arr of print arr comma n minus 1 if we call this first, and if we print the last element first, that is printing n first, right? But n is not n here, right? N is n, the last element is arr of n minus 1. So we'll print arr of n minus 1 here, kind of, right? So this is the last element that we have. So yeah, we have 5 elements, right? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here we have 3 or 4, 1, right? Yeah, so I think this will work, and I think we have solved the question using this only. So if we see this question print array, we must have solved it in a similar fashion. Yeah, if you see here, we are doing index minus 1 and then we are having index. But like we discussed in the previous video, whatever instructions are after this, they will be printed or they will be executed when we are moving down the stack. And whatever instructions are pressing above the recursive call, they will be executed when we are moving up the stack. So first we'll have to move up the stack and then we'll move down the stack. So that is kind of insufficient. So what we want to achieve here is we want to move up the stack only and we want to print all the elements when we are moving up the stack. So how will it be possible? Let's try to discuss that. So if I assume that this print arr comma 4, it will print, let's say the last 4 elements that we have. So 23, 22, 21, 19. So if we set this expectation, then what can we do? So we'll have to print something first, right? And then we'll have to print 20 first. So 20 is nothing but we can have 20 as arr dot length minus 1, and how do I get one more, kind of variable here. So let's think about it. So the basic thing is that the basic generalized formula will be something like, first I print 20 and then I print ARR, comma 4. So the question now remains, how do we print 20? So we can have 20 printed if we have ARR dot length minus 4, right? Minus 4. So how will we get this 4? We'll get this 4 if we do something like n minus 1. So this is n, right? ARR dot length is 5. So 5 minus, and this will evaluate to 5 minus 4 is, so we'll have to do not 5 minus 4, we'll have to do n minus n, ARR dot n minus n. So if we do this, we'll get ARR of this, right? So yeah, we can write 20 in this manner. So let's try to imagine how this method will work. So for the first, we'll get 5 minus 5, right? And then we are doing n minus 1. So then we'll print 5 minus 4, which is 1, which will print this. And then we'll get this one, this one, this one. Yeah. So I think this will work. So let's try to do it. So let me try to comment this one. So we'll have the same method signature. The only thing we want is we want to print first. Okay. So we didn't think about the base case. So let's think about the base case in some time, right? ARR dot length minus index. So what will be the base case? Let's try to execute it first and then let's see. So if we have an array containing, let's say, 20, 25 and 19 as the elements. So this array will come here, index is 3. So what do we get? Index is not 0 first. We get 3 minus 3, right? 3 minus 3 is 0. So 20 will be printed. Then 3 minus 2, right? We are doing index minus 1. So 21 will be printed. And then we'll do 3 minus 1. So this element will be printed. And then we again, okay, so we again reduce the index and then we reach index 0. So this is where we'll have, you know, um, the base case hit and we return from here. So yeah, I think this will work fine. Let's try to execute it once. So we have 5 elements, let's say 20, 19, 22, 25, and so yeah, it does work. So it is a much better approach because all the statements are present above the recursive call, right? Yeah, so this was the problem that we had solved. And let's try to discuss the next question that we had, which was display array in reverse. So in this question, we were again given an array, right? And we had to display the elements of that array in reverse. So let's try to so let's use this window or the notepad itself, this window of the notepad, and let's set some expectation and faith here. So let's say we have an array with these all elements. Say I have an array with these elements, and the expectation was I had to print all the elements in the reverse. So kind of this. And what we can expect from here, no, what faith we can set here is, if we know ARR of ARR comma 4, print ARR of 4. So let's give this print reverse, right? So the expectation from this print reverse function is printing all the elements in reverse. So yeah, how can we achieve it? So what can we do? We can solve it in either way. So we'll have 1921. So let's set the fate first that we have this ARR comma 4, print reverse ARR comma 4. It prints 19, 21, 22, 23. And how do we go from fate to the expectation? So we print, we have this method called first, which will give us n minus 1, right? Index minus 1 or n minus 1, whatever you want to call it. And then you print 5, right? Print the last element. So yeah, this will be a pretty easy solution, right, to achieve. So what we do is that we keep on piling, we keep on reducing the index, that is the length, and then whenever we hit 0, then we return. And while we are traversing down the stack, these print statements will be executed. And mm, yeah, let us think about it once more. I don't think this will print the elements in. This will not print the elements in the order that we want, right? Okay. So now we want to print the zeroth element, right? So how do we print the zeroth element? We can print the zeroth element using arr.length minus something, right? Minus 1 minus length, right? Minus n. So n will eventually become 1, okay? Minus n, let's see. How do we do it? Let's think about it. So print reverse arr comma n minus 1. So we have these elements and we pass this 5 and then we hit 0, but 0 is not what we want to hit, right? We want to hit, yeah, we hit 0. So if we hit 0, then we start printing from the last element. So the last element will be arr.length, arr of arr.length minus n. So if we return from if index is equal to 0, then it will return to the method called where n is 1. So yeah, this solution might work. Let's try to see how we have implemented it. So we have implemented it in a more optimized way. But let's try to implement it in an optimized manner that we have. So let me comment this. So the point I'm trying to make in this video is that you can have any faith. So we can have any faith, but the only thing to remember while setting the faith is that you will have to have a reduced amount of the problem. So we had an array, right? And we had the index. So we have reduced the index, but we have kept the array as it is. So while establishing faith, you just have to remember that you have to reduce the problem. And reducing the problem meaning you can reduce this array or you can reduce this index. But we have found that reducing index was the first thing that came into my mind, and it was the easy thing that we can do, right? So that is why we have reduced the index. So yeah, let's try to run this. Print arr of, oh, it's print decreasing question. Okay, my bad. Printing print array reverse, right? This question. Okay. So we do print array reverse, and I call this using index minus 1, and I call it using dot length minus n index. Let's think about the base case now. So it will keep on reducing, the index will keep on decreasing till we hit 0, and once we hit 0 it will fall down and have index 1. So arr dot length minus 1 will give us the last element. Yep. Hopefully this works. Let's say we have an array of 5, 20, 20. Okay, and let's say 25. So yeah, the array elements are printed, but this is not an optimized approach like we had discussed, right? Having statements above the recursive call, it is the best approach or the more optimized approach that we have. Okay, so let's think about these questions a bit more. Like we have solved the print array question on this slide that we had, right? And the print reverse array questions also, right? So what if we had a different expectation, or what if we had a different faith? So let's say the expectation from this print reverse array question, uh, we had, sorry, we had a method signature called print reverse array arr, comma, and the index that we supplied was 0. So let's think what would have happened now. Okay, so it would have printed all the elements till 0th. So this is the expectation that we are setting. So this print reverse array reverse arr function, if we supply it arr comma 0, what it will do is it will start from the last index and it will print to the 0th index. So that is the expectation that I'm setting. And the faith that I'm setting now is if I give it 1, it will print till it will start from the last element. Okay, it will start from the last element, which is 21, and it will print till the first index. So let's consider this as the fate and expectations. So what I'm trying to do here is that we can tell you guys that you can think in any way, you can have any expectation. Like it's not necessary to give this index as the array length. You can have this index as 0 as well, but it doesn't make sense to have this index as 1 or 2. It would make sense, but it would make things more difficult, is what I'm trying to say. So you can have some logic around the index 1 or something like, but it would make the code more complicated, right? We don't want to do that. So the best solution that I found was that I have the index as array.length either, or either I have it as 0 or 1. And once you set the expectation, you have to set the faith. So the faith I set was I am decreasing the problem here, right? So I am reducing the problem. So I'll print 21, 22 from, uh, sorry, it will print till 21, right? Yeah. So it will print from last element till 21. So that is the faith that I have. So again, how do you go from faith to the expectations? So we can go there by having printed 19 first, which is the 0th element, right? So the 0th element will be, how will we define the 0th element? Like print arr of n. So n is nothing but this index or n, whatever you want to call. So arr of n is printing this 20, is printing this 19, but we don't want to print 19, right? We want to print arr of, we can have arr dot length minus 1. We can have this minus n. So if we do something like this, minus 1 minus length, right? Minus 1. So if we do something like this, right? So we'll get, for the first iteration, we'll get the size or the length of the array is 5 minus 1, 4 minus n is 0 first, right? Yeah, so this will print the last element, and then we just call print uh, I'll just call this method, and what we'll have here is n minus 1. Yeah, so I think this will work. Let's try to do this in print reverse array. So we'll have another variation of this solution of this question, which will take some different inputs. So this was for the first one, this was for the second one, and let's say this is for the third one. The method calls, I mean, yeah. So yeah, we have this system.out.println arr.length minus 1, which will give us the last element, and then we do minus n, or the index, right? We have index here. Okay, and then we just do arr comma index minus 1. So what it will do is it will start the iteration with index 0, and it will give us the last element first, um, and then the fourth, then the second, then the third, and so when do we have to stop? We have to stop when index is arr.length, right? So if index is arr.length, we just return. Hmm, yeah. So will we hit? Will we be? So let's think about an array arr which has, let's say, 20 comma 32 and 19. The expectation is that we print them in reverse, right? So if index is 0 first, then we'll have arr.length, which is 3 minus 1, which is 2, minus 0. So we'll print this one. Then index becomes 1. So we'll have 3 minus 1, 2, minus 1, 1. So we'll have this. Then index becomes 2. Once index becomes 2, is it? Yeah. So once index becomes 2, 3 minus 2, which will give us 2, minus 2 will give us the 0th element. Okay, so we'll print this, and then index becomes 3, which is array.length. So yeah, this will work. Let's try to run it once. 5 elements, 20. Oops, we have to give the index as 0, right? My bad. So if we give the index as array.length, it will return directly. It won't execute anything. We got array index out of bounds exception. Okay, let's try to analyze it. Interesting. So we got it for which line? Let's try to see it for line number 42. Okay, for this line. So we have array.length, which is 5 first. So did I type this too much times? Let me run it once again. No. So it printed the first one, but we got um, it printed the last element, and then we got the uh, array index out of bounds exception. So let's see. Is the index not reducing? Oh, we don't have to reduce the index. We have to increase it, right? We have considered the index as 0. Let me see what I have done here. Yeah, we have to increase the index because the index is 0 first. So if we don't increase the index from 0, how will it reach array.length? And how will we exit from this method call? Yeah, that was the mistake that we made. Let's try to run this. Yeah, so 23, 12, 24, 21, 20. Yeah, so I think that is all for this video. So in this video, we just saw a different variations of the questions that we did was that the print array question and the print reverse array question, right? So that's all for this video. See you guys in the next one. Thank you.